Hi friends, your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we are going to talk about campaign for Araman, and we're going to talk about what is happening with Matthew Mercer taking the player seat. It's weird. It's really weird. I don't know, Scott. Is it weird? Yeah, it's really weird. Hey, Scott, you say a lot of stuff. Is there anybody else saying the same thing? Yeah. There's a lot of discussion about this. And here's the biggest one. Here's the receipt that this is very weird that Matthew Mercer is in the player seat and is not in the Dungeon Master seat. The fact that Critical Role is now discussing it, all right? And how are they discussing it? With jokes, all right? Now, what are you supposed to do when Critical Role tells a joke? Well, Scott, when somebody tells a joke, you're supposed to laugh. No, that's not what should be happening when Critical Role tells a joke. When Critical Role tells a joke, your ears should perk up like a rabbit hearing a wolf. All right, okay, I'll tell you, Okay, so one of my favorite videos this year was Professor Dungeon Master having on Travis Willingham. So here's where we land, okay? Recently, Critical Role what has Critical Role been making jokes about recently? The fact that they didn't choose Daggerheart over D&D, right? The fact that that Matthew Mercer, the best dungeon master in the world, gave up his seat to a substitute teacher. Right? Like that's what Brendan Lee Mulligan is. Brendan Lee Mulligan is not a super talented dungeon master. He is a substitute teacher that gets called in whenever Critical Role needs him. And that it's not cool, man. Like it's just campaign 4 was huge. Everybody wanted something significant. And I feel like we got butt cheeks. We just did not get anything good here. It's not good, right? And I think it's super weird that Matthew Mercer is not dungeon mastering. And I really feel if you want to know when Critical Role is up to something, watch for the jokes, okay? Now let me present my receipts here, okay? All right, so recently, I'll give it to you on all three of them, right? Recently, Daggerheart, Sam Riegel has a short where he's like, why are we not running Daggerheart again? You know, like they know this stuff is really strange. They know it was strange for 2 years, right? To build a D&D killer and then back out at the last minute. They left a lot of people with $60 bricks in their hand, right? Daggerheart is worthless now. It's destroyed, right? Like it was built to kill D&D, and they didn't have the courage to see that through. But they collected all their money first, right? Like, and you're like, I don't know, like that's really, Scott, that's a lot to put on them. The timing was really specific. I can tell you right now, those copies would not have blown off the shelves if everybody knew that 3 months later they were going to dump it and choose D&D for Araman. There's no way. Right? And how do you think Daggerheart's selling right now? Frankly, I doubt they even need to reprint it again. Like it's done. It's cooked in the book. Okay? All right. Sam Riegel makes jokes about them not running Daggerheart for campaign 4, right? Travis Willingham and Matthew Mercer go on Professor Dungeon Master. Highly respected source of metrics, highly respected source of content, highly respected member of the TTRPG community, okay? He brings them on. He puts right in the thumbnail, I want a no BS answer to this question. They had already answered the question that he asked, right? And what he was saying is, you're saying BS. We know it's BS. Like, you already answered this question. I'm going to ask it right to your face again because I don't want BS this time. I want the truth. Right? And he came right at them, right? So he's got #1 dungeon master in the world, and he's got the CEO of Critical Role in front of him, and he says, hey, did you guys take a payment to run D&D rather than Daggerheart? Right? And what he left unsaid was because the whole freaking world thinks you did. We think you took literally a multi-million-dollar check to do this, because otherwise it makes no sense. Right? And that's why Sam Riegel was making that joke, because it makes no sense, right? And this is my point. Whenever there's something that you should be looking real close at with Critical Role, they'll make jokes about it. Okay, and I want to talk about the latest joke they did, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Thanks. Be patient. Thank you. All right. And thanks for being patient. You don't have to be patient. If if my content frustrates you, and it does frustrate a lot of people, no worries. Like, it's, this is the deepest end of the pool. If you don't want to swim in these rapids, I get it, right? Just head over to the Dungeon Dudes. You'll get some floaties, man. Like, they make everything comfortable. There's no reason for it, because I know my content is really unusual, right? And can be frustrating for many people. All right, okay, here we go. Let's get all the way there. Okay, this is really fascinating. I find this absolutely fascinating. So then you get and so he says, "Hey, did you take a payment?" And Matthew Mercer's like, "Look in my eyes. No, we did not take a payment." Travis Willingham, the CEO, says, "I took a payment." And then throws in a little joke. Here's the joke, people. Isn't that funny? No, that was like super not funny. He's like saying, "You've already answered this. I want a real answer," right? And Mercer like clarifies things, makes it clear, right? But then Travis is like, "Hey, let's muddy the water, man. Let's not make the answer clear. Let's muddy the water," right? Why? Right? Now, believe it or not, I don't think they took a payment to play D&D. And the reason why is there was never like, there was a world in which they were gonna run Daggerheart, right? The world in which they were gonna start working real hard and paying the real price to beat D&D, right? And I think, and they made Daggerheart. Spencer Stark shocked everybody, built an incredible game, frankly, with better rules than D&D in many areas, I think, right? Certainly a D&D killer candidate, right? And then it blew off the shelves. And the part that didn't get connected was every Critical Role member was like, "Oh, well, if we're going to be the top game in the world, we will immediately be hated. Winners are hated," right? Like, and, and they knew, like, they've seen the fury that D&D does for forgetting a comma. And they're like, "Our lives are too comfortable. We're not going to do this," right? And that's why it just disappeared overnight. All right. Let's get to the last joke, the latest joke, right? It's super weird. It is super weird that that Matthew Mercer is not the Dungeon Master of Campaign 4, right? And again, it's something you should be looking at very carefully because it's their latest joke subject, right? So what's the joke, right? So they have on Rhett and Link. Now, these guys I have history with. My whole family loved to watch Rhett and Link together. And we didn't think anything of it, but one of the reasons why we really enjoyed them was they were Christians, right? They actually both renounced their Christianity, which now, of course, Critical Role loves them, right? Like, okay, boy, Hollywood be Hollywood, right? So I had fallen off with Rhett and Link years ago, right? Because we went and saw them live, right? We were huge fans, and then they're like, Jesus, whatever, forget him, right? I'm like, wow, like, okay, like, everybody has the right to do that, but I don't know how that's going to work out in the end for you, right? But, well, I guess we do know how. If you renounce Jesus, you get to talk directly to Critical Role. There you go. I guess we know how that ends, right? So Rhett and Link go on Critical Role's show, and they do a joke. And the joke is, "Hey, we'll be the Dungeon Masters." But before they do in the joke, they say, "Hey, why isn't Matthew Mercer doing it? Isn't he like the best DM in the world?" And then literally Ashley Johnson's like, it's a joke. The whole thing's a joke, right? And then Rhett and Link, their main thing on their channel now is like they do these eating shows, right? And where they eat stuff in weird ways, right? And actually, I don't think their content is bad. I actually think their content is better than it's ever been in many ways. I just, as a Christian, it's really weird for me to listen to anybody who's renounced Jesus. Like, that's really strange. And so I don't wish them ill, but it's really, you know, it just gives me the ick. It's not good. And so, but I thought it was pretty shocking to see Rhett and Link go on there. And my only point here is when, like, you know, there's something there when there's a Reddit thread on it and Critical Role is joking about it. All right. And what's interesting is, why do they joke? Well, I think they joke to hide a concrete reality, right? And you're like, and why do they do that? Well, here's the kicker. Critical Role is now in many ways the D&D analog. It is D&D for literally millions of people. And just like D&D, like, people have said this, and I kind of have to agree, like, Dungeons and Dragons would get in trouble, and then they'd do something else that would just change the story, almost like Trump, right? And it's the same thing with Critical Role, right? Like, when they don't want you to talk about a concrete reality that surrounds them, you'll see a joke. There'll be a Reddit thread, and they'll do a joke. That's when you know there's something there, in my humble opinion. And yeah. So, you know, and I'm not even saying what I think the reasons are. I'm just saying, I'm just calling out a pattern, right? If there's a Reddit thread on it and a CR is joking about it, there's something there, something that we haven't seen the real shape of yet, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.